voice every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
In today's complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the amazing Kirstie Holmes. She is the CEO and managing partner at Empower Mortgage Partners. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Laura. It's so good to see you.
Fabulous. Well, we like to kick off Wednesday Wisdom with our very first question of, as we go through our lives, we learn so many lessons, whether it's something we read, something we witnessed, something someone has shared with us. And those pieces of wisdom, they kind of sit with us and get embedded into our lives. So at this time, we'd love to hear, what is something you learned that you could share with all of us, and how has that affected your life?
Well, so that's such a good question. I would say the one thing that sticks out of my mind when you ask that is many years ago when I first started in leadership, a boss of mine watched me grow, and she stopped me one day. I was in the hiring process. I had a few offices, and she said, "Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because the mistakes are going to turn into your successes, and you're not going to learn and grow unless you're willing to take the risk." And I remember being so mad. I was like, I do everything right. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point of being a woman in, male dominated world, is you have to do everything right, and you have to really think things through, because those mistakes can come back quickly. And she said, "Nope, just take the risk. It's okay. You're going to be fine." And that is, in everything I do, I think back to that moment, and sometimes take risks, and sometimes we fall, and sometimes we get back up, but every time I learn.
Yes.
So
tell me how it changed you, right? So what a great piece of advice, right? And I think even if we go in a direction of being a mom, right? So many times we try to protect our children from falling and cutting their knee, so to speak, right? In every way that happens. But that's not where they're going to grow. That's not where they're going to learn the greatest lessons, like you said. And that same thing applies to us as leaders and being in the mortgage industry. We know, and I know, listen, you need to share the story of how you came into the mortgage industry, because I did look into that and I love the story. So you have to share that. But even that, what a risk. Like, you really put yourself out there. So share that story with us.
Oh, where do I even begin? I think I was working for a local bank. I was AVP of their consumer sector, had a few offices, great staff, loved it. It was such a fun part of my career. I built a good portion of their training program with a team of mine, and their loan programs and all of that kind of stuff. Like, we really did a lot of the background work to make sure that the offices could run smoothly. And then COVID came. And things in the banking world started to change, budgets changed, buildings changed, and you think, like, okay, well, I know where I am in terms of salary, and this could, turn. So kind of started to look at what are the best things about what I do? What are the things that I like the most? And I loved the lending aspect of it. I just felt like that was so easy for me. building the programs, the training and developing of staff was the other part that I loved, watching my teams become the best versions of themselves. And now a lot of them have job titles that are even far and beyond where I was, which is so cool to watch. We're still pretty close. But yeah, I just kind of took those things and said, let me let me transition over to mortgages and see if I can stand in the mud and learn this thing and really get it figured out. Maybe I could build something different, down the road. And so that was the goal. Here we are.
Wow, how exciting, right? So if you hadn't heard that advice and then taking that advice and applying it, right, during a time of absolute uncertainty, right? I mean, no one knew how any of that was going to play out, in the long run. And you did it. You said, okay, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do everything I need to do to make this happen. And you accomplished it. So kudos to you. And what a great way to apply that wonderful wisdom that you had received. I love it. I love it. Okay. So the next thing we always like to go over is, leadership isn't a title. We all know that, right? Leadership is a quality. And I have to be honest. I mean, over many, many years, I've realized that leadership is lacking. And I don't mean mortgage industry leadership. I mean, as a whole, I'm really saying that leadership is something that is a great quality that, number one, I believe everyone has the ability to be a leader. I 100% believe that. But sometimes people are almost waiting for permission to step up and use their voice or step into that role. And we're saying to anyone listening to this right now, allow this to be your green light. We're giving you permission. Let's do it. So now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think is one of the most important quality of being a great leader?
So for me, when I look at the leaders that were the most impactful to me, and then, the things that I learned from them, it was often someone that's willing to lead by example on a regular basis, consistency, and someone that can stand in the weeds, someone that knows how to do your job, so then could effectively teach you ways to, grow and build and become the best version of you. Sometimes there are leaders, and there's something to be said about this too, but it doesn't always work when maybe they were a higher level at a different industry and they come over, well, they don't really know your job. So that makes it frustrating for a lot of people in the corporate world, or in anything, I would imagine. But I'm corporate, so. But I think the reason that I went the route that I did, instead of just saying I'm going to open a company, was for just that I wanted to know every angle of the business, every job description. What does that look like? What's the most effective way to do that? So then I could put my spin on it and really be able to help people in their everyday moments, not just the big stuff. And I think a leader needs to be able to do that.
You just hit on something that is so valuable because, I always think to myself, it's difficult to take direction or follow a leader where they don't have the experience or the knowledge base of the role that you're doing. It is very challenging, right? So I'm with you that I always believed, how can I ask you to do anything that I haven't done myself? Because at the end of the day, right, you know how long something should take, or you have an idea of this is a good process. Well, now, of course, you're going to collaborate, you're going to get feedback, and you're going to work it out together. But it's very difficult to do that if you haven't sat in that seat. Even if it wasn't for a long time, you at least did that role. And it's interesting, many years ago, and I wasn't part of this, but many years ago, big banks, they used to take like college students and they used to put them in roles in a mortgage company. And you would sit like 2 months in secondary and 2 months in operations and 2 months in the sales. And they would have you move around in the hopes that, number one, you're going to pick whichever one really resonated with you. But also, they were in the leadership training program. So
Yep.
eventually they knew all the different jobs. So even if they didn't stick with one, they could be a leader. And I got to tell
Yep.
you, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. So tell me all the different things that you have done in those roles, because it sounds like you are a hands-on type of person. So what kind of different things have you done?
In terms of leadership or in terms of
Doing the doing.
I mean, when I was in the bank, it's whatever needed to be done. If I needed to run a teller drawer, which I used to do at least twice a month on a Saturday, my staff loved that.
Yes.
Like, who else did that in that role? But I would go and I'd sit in the office and sit and get to know all the clients and open account, all whatever had to be done. That's the whole point, right? If the vault needed to be taken care of, I could do that. You know, also 3 a.m. phone calls when the fireman's there, like that
Oh yeah, we
that
don't
part of
like
my life.
those.
Yeah, of course. And so now I'm still writing. You know, my goal is not to, but we just opened this company.
Sure.
So I'm writing and testing out every company that we're working with, building the training program, building the platform. Everything has to be foundational. So we started not that long ago. It was the end of October
Wow.
with this company. And, you know, I feel like I need to break and fix everything that we have so that I know how to fix anything that could happen, or at least an avenue in the right direction moving forward. So
Yeah. I think
everything.
you're right. I mean, we all know knowledge is power. And you might not be the end all be all expert in every section, and you don't have to be. You don't have to be the end all expert, but having at least enough knowledge to where you're educated and you can have an educated conversation, you can work with a team member, or you can make that phone call or follow up to someone because you have enough knowledge. That's a leader. So kudos for that is great leadership, and thank you for sharing that. I love it. Okay. Now, my favorite question that we always like to wrap up on, because I'm a believer that if you throw something out there and you say it kind of starts to grow. You're planting the seed. So I'd like to know, what is your moonshot? Meaning, if you had no limitations, nothing holding you back, what would be something that you put out there that you want to accomplish?
So moonshot, I mean, it's a moonshot, but I really believe we can do this. It's not a tomorrow thing. So, and it's funny that you talked about the young professionals that would go from department to department. So I am building a nonprofit specifically for young people that age out of the foster care system, but really for anyone that maybe doesn't have family or leadership or anything like that, maybe can't afford to go to college, maybe can't, you know, get the help that they need to teach them how to build their own business in the financial world.
Wow.
You know that we both have connections all over, right? So it's not just mortgages, but there will be a mortgage program, and we'll have the money to pay for their training and teach them and, you know, guide them until they can write and then ultimately open their own P&L or whatever they want to do. But my goal is, you know, getting everyone real estate, wealth management, financial planning, well, I said wealth management, insurance, mortgages, all of our sector, title, even,
Yep.
and bringing us together to help these kids, because I'm on the other side of the bridge from you. They closed all of our homeless shelters after COVID here. So these kids, when they turn 18, all of their, you know, everything, permissions, money, everything turns off. They get nothing. So if they're not in a home where someone cares, they're on the street. If they didn't have someone to help them build something or get into a college or full scholarship or something like that, that's it for them.
Wow.
And this is a nice area. I live in suburbia. So for me, and there's so much more to that for me personally, but
I was going to say this obviously is something near to your heart.
it is.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm adopted. I grew up in a home where we had a lot of foster kids in and out of the home. I was lucky enough to have a great set of parents to raise me and my brothers, but a lot of people didn't. And then I see that that's lacking. So my son has that same heart, and he brings a lot of kids home. And so I watch them struggle and think, what can I do to create a path?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be my path, but now you have opportunities in different sectors and you never know what it could be. But that's my moonshot. I really want to do it and it'll start small. But hopefully we can make an impactful difference for these kids.
Well, number one, I don't think it's that far in the future as you think. I'm sure that now that that seed has been planted and it's out there, I will also tell you that I believe there's a lot of really good people in our industry, and I'm sure in
Mhm.
your community that
Yeah.
would be happy to be part of something like that. I will
Mhm.
also share with you that something that I have on my to-do list, that kind of almost lines up to what you're saying, is I've always said, why are we not teaching like in a college setting, like a university course setting, teaching people to be able to come into this industry? We all
Yep.
know that this industry, if you learn and you do the work and you show up and you do what needs to be done, it can be a very successful career, long-standing career for generations, right? And to your point, there's so much opportunity within all the sectors, right, of what you're speaking. Well, most people don't know how to get in, to your point, right? Nobody, unless you know someone or somehow you accidentally arrive, like most of us, we all pretty
Right.
much,
Just
unless
fell
you
into
either
it.
knew someone or you accidentally fell in. But what you're saying is not only are you providing that opportunity, obviously these are at-risk children that need even more support, to be
Mhm.
able to put them on that path of education. And it is a great industry, all of those sectors, to where your whole life, like you could do that from the moment you're 18 forever, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
thank you for sharing that idea. I think it is wonderful. And we also know this industry needs young people.
Yeah.
It is another industry. I mean, there's so many of them. You're hearing about the air traffic controllers, and you're hearing like there's so many industries where everybody's aging out. There's just not enough young people coming in. So you're hitting so many points that has to happen.
Yep.
Has to happen. So we're putting it out there that I can see the vision. You're on the path. This is not a long road down. This is, please keep us posted and communicate of how people can come together, because I know it's an important mission for many, many reasons. And when something comes from your heart, like it does for you, we all know it'll bloom into what it needs to be.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're lucky we have some interns, so we're kind of testing things now.
Okay.
And we'll see. So they're doing very well. And, if it continues to go well, we'll bring some more in and we'll kind of keep testing and growing and building. And, you know, my partner owns a wealth management firm, so we've got both sides there and we just kind of see
That's wonderful. I love
one
it.
step at a time.
I love
Mhm.
it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and a piece of your moonshot that we know will be here very soon, I'm sure. We appreciate you and keep shining brightly.
Thank you so much.